Bottom of the screen games are becoming all the rage, and I've been sent an advance preview of a new one coming along called Not Monday Cafe. I've had a preview of an extended demo. I feel like it showed me everything the game has to offer, so I'm quite confident in being able to kind of go, this is almost review standard for this preview, hence why it's kind of a weird hybrid of the two. In Not Monday Cafe, you see the bottom third of your screen taken over by a cafe that you get to develop, and it falls into three very distinct areas. You have the kitchen area, where you can hire staff to then use various different contraptions, such as ovens, presses, stir fry, maybe an ice machine, or a prep and cutting area, for example. And as you buy these different areas, you can then upgrade them so that they then unlock different types of recipes that you can create on them over time. In order to harvest the ingredients to make those recipes, though, you need to build the farm, and this occurs on the left-hand side of your cafe. This is starting off with various different plots that you can then buy ingredients to place in, and that could be some fruit, it could be some vegetables, it could be chickens and cows, it could be shrimp in later on parts of the game. And the more different areas that you have, they all have kind of a cooldown period before they need to be harvested, and that can be sped up and maintained by having the different plots get watered, and so you'll need farmers in there to look after your crops. Then you'll have your actual restaurant, your front-facing cafe. And this again can be decorated with various different tables, bits on the wall, windows, maybe a facade or something like that. And each, the kitchen and the cafe will need to have different serving hatches, which are strategically placed to try and make serving up of the dinner as quickly as possible. Your patrons will rate you between 1 to 5 stars depending on the quality of the food, which improves the better equipment that you have and also the more variety of ingredients you have to make better dishes. But they'll also judge you on the interior of your cafe too. So you can't just keep buying all of the cheap all the time. You'll need to renovate and upgrade. And by doing that, you'll shut down the shop and use all of the different money that you've earned through the different sales that you've got in the background to then generate rip out all of the old interior and put in new stuff in. This then allows you to earn more money, which then means that you can get more expansions, upgrade your kitchen, which then means you can get access to more recipes, and then you can decide which recipes you do and don't want to sell, because if you're stuck with all of the cheap stuff, like some water or some ice lollies or a Durango, then you might want to turn those off to force people to then order the bruschetta or the pork cutlet or whatever it is that you've got going on, because A, they'll have to pay more, B, it might take longer to make, but then C, you might want to pull out some of your farming plots so that you can then invest in having more plots of certain types of food. All of this is in a relatively low stakes environment. Yes, you'll hire staff and yes, they will cost you some money, but it's very difficult to end up stuck in a state where you've got no money and you've got no other money coming in. And so that's where this kind of idle-like bit at the bottom of the screen is quite easy and simple, because you can just let the money rack up over time, and the game doesn't really let you get into a total and utter unwinnable situation, for example. I really like the pixel art. I think it's beautiful, and the frames of animations for all of the different things that people do is quite cute. I also found that actually having some kind of management and much more say in what you're doing in this kind of bottom of the screen idler game really sold the concept of bottom of the screen idler games for me, because the ones that I've played largely previously are too hands off, whereas this felt like I was making lots of good design choices and that I was more in control of the game, even though it does run itself at the same time. You can customize all of the different colors of the different props in your restaurant. You can customize the uniforms that all of the different staff members make, and even their hair and facial features and all of that can be paid to be unlocked and changed around too. And if you're really stuck for cash, then it can turn into a clicker game where you can just click your patrons and eventually they'll start dropping cash over time. So that's also another way to get yourself out of a tricky situation. All of this comes with a nice, chilled out, jazzy soundtrack, should you want it, with plenty of music in there. And there were a couple of other features in the demo that were not turned on, such as like a log that shows you what you've unlocked so far versus where you're going, and some more kind of online postal features, whatever that may be as well. But what's here from the base game itself is easily one of the more involved and empowering bottom of the screen idler games that I've played to date, to be honest. And from that perspective alone, it's definitely a recommendation if you like the cozy cafe life that can sit at the bottom of your screen.